slow. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll. This is how we roll. Yeah. I'm a Sato clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly, but I ain't Lauren.
What is up, my good people? We are back. We are in effect. Obviously, it took a little week off, but you know, we wanted to come back strong, bring you the greatest World Cup coverage. Of course, welcome to Townie Sports. I am one of your 2 tremendous hosts for this evening, Sammy, and I am, of course, alongside none other than the best, Vic. Vic, how you doing, bro?
Oh, living the dream, sir. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm so excited for this pod, dude. Like, this has been like a long time coming. I know we love to do the NBA. We love to do football. I mean, football kind of burned us out this year just because the NFL is broken. But I mean,
insanity.
Man, this is so exciting to be able to do like a full World Cup preview show with you, man. I'm so excited.
This is finally we get to do what we've been waiting for. I know I've been waiting for 8 years for. I don't know the last time Morocco was in the World Cup, but
2018.
So you guys made it in 18. Must be nice. But yeah, I know I've been waiting for this tournament for so long. So many up and downs with this national team, from new managers to a new U.S. president. There's the FIFA documentary that I don't want to discuss. I mean, just so much. So many stories, so many storylines with this World Cup. Could this be Messi's last? Definitely going to be Ronaldo's last. So, yeah, just excited to get into it.
Yeah, me too. So, but before we get into that, obviously we got Thursday Night Football, so we got to pay our dues here and give people what they want. So a little Thursday Night Football segment. Obviously, we got the Titans at the Packers. I believe the Packers line is -3 right now. Yep. Did you see anything, Vic, with the line for this NFL game on Thursday night that you liked?
I'll be honest, Sammy. I've been so focused on World Cup action, I haven't really dove too much into
as you should be
the Thursday Night Football. But on paper, it seems like we're going to get a good one here. The Titans are 7-2 against the spread here. They are, I believe, -3 favorites today. I think that they cover on the road in Lambeau, despite the temperatures, and I think they come out on top. They are a running team, so I don't think that the temperatures are going to bother them as much as it would a passing team like like the Dolphins or something like that. So I think they're going to go in there. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to cover that -3 spread for sure.
Sick. Yeah, so if you guys want a little Sammy snack, the parlay that I cooked up yesterday, I had Titans money line. I took the under 4.5 points, and I took Derrick Henry with at least 100 yards rushing. That was a nice little plus 500 parlay for you. I think that'll net you some beans if you're looking for it.
I think so for sure. And I think I would take the over on even how high the Derrick Henry carries are. I would take the over on that at 21.5. I see it here. Pays out -136, but I think it's a given he's going to get over 21 carries in this game, or 21 carries in this game.
Yeah, that's the key. If they're going to win, he has to get over 21 carries. But all right, the moment everybody's been freaking waiting for. I know a lot of my friends, I know a lot of our mutual friends as well have been really looking forward to this, for us to have our talking head moment about the World Cup, because it's something they're not as well informed about, but want to, because it's such a big event. So obviously we have the World Cup starting Sunday. So in case anybody doesn't know, Sunday, I believe at 8 a.m., you got Qatar versus Ecuador, first game of the World Cup, and obviously the games go on pretty much every day from there on out. So before we get into kind of the group action and kind of USMNT, I wanted to do a Who Do You Love with the USMNT edition for you, Vic. All right? Because I know we've been doing this segment. A lot of people like it. I think you've enjoyed it so far, haven't you? Little pick on players.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely.
All right. So the first one that I'm going to do, because it's kind of fitting. You got the jersey on and everything. Christian Pulisic. All right? So that's your boy, Christian Pulisic. Yeah. Who would you rather have, Christian Pulisic or Hakeem Ziyech?
Well, both of them are kind of in the same spot in their club teams, right? Now, and I do want to make a comment. This is the ugliest jersey in the history of jerseys. I hate the USA crest in the middle of the jersey. I think it's ridiculous. I hate that it doesn't even really have our colors. It's blue and black. It makes no sense. It looks like a Rorschach test, and I hate it. But it's one of these jerseys where I'm like, oh, in 30 years, I'm gonna pull this jersey out of my closet, and people are gonna be like, oh shit, that's the ugly U.S. jerseys. Oh, these guys, those are sick. So that's the reason I have it, and I'm wearing it today. But Christian Pulisic over Ziyech, these are two players that, like I said, are in the same spot on their club teams. I believe Ziyech is a little bit older than Pulisic, if I'm not mistaken.
I think a year.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like we see Pulisic more now with the manager change at Chelsea than we do Ziyech. I think Pulisic is a better dribbler of the ball and better in space than Ziyech. I think Ziyech is a better goal scorer, but I'm going to go with Pulisic here. This one's almost even, Sammy, but I'm going to go Pulisic. I'm sure you're going to go Ziyech, but I like Pulisic.
All right, so the next one I got is Vinicius Jr. of Brazil. Who are you taking?
Yeah, this isn't even close. This is it's Vinicius. I mean, this is why.
I like to do this because it kind of sets the table for everything, so people kind of know where U.S. players rank, based on their counterparts from other countries. So the next player I have.
I mean, but this is like a player that's could be transcendent.
They're both strikers. So, I'm just saying they're both forwards. Forwards.
Pulisic's a winger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely Vinicius.
All right, Kai Havertz.
So this is one that pisses me off a lot. Kai Havertz is somebody that took time above Pulisic at Chelsea. I think I'm looking up Kai's age right now. The thing about Kai is he's a lot more physical. He's a bigger player.
Because he's bigger, yeah.
Yeah. And he, again, same thing, better goal scorer than Pulisic. But I think Pulisic is the more talented player. I really wish you wouldn't have chosen Pulisic. I wish you would have chosen Gio Reyna.
Oh, okay.
But no, I think I'm going to go Pulisic here. I think, again, they're both almost equal.
Nice. Okay, so that's good. So that's Kai Havertz of Germany. That's pretty much one of their starting wingers / forwards. Another one, Ferran Torres of Spain.
So Ferran Torres is somebody I'm not too familiar with. Where does he play in club?
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Okay, so you watch a lot more La Liga than I do. I don't really follow the Spanish league as much as I do the Italian, German, and English Premier League. But I mean, I have to default. I honestly, Sammy, I don't think I've seen a minute of this guy play.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Pulisic just because I don't know who Ferran Torres is.
I think I picked these players for a reason because they're kind of their winger of their country, transcended potential superstar of their nation, potential of their club. Like Pulisic is obviously one of the biggest players of the United States. Ferran Torres isn't the biggest. I'm not going to compare Pulisic with Pedri because they're different positions, different types of players, but he's probably more relatable to Ferran. Yeah,
it's like you're better off comparing Pedri with Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I'd have to go.
I think it's the same here. I think you're looking at about even, right? Maybe slightly better towards Pulisic because he has a little bit more behind him as he's played more experience. But all right. Anyway, the next one that I chose, this one's a little bit tough, and it might strike a nerve with you. So I chose Alphonso Davies of Canada.
Oh, it doesn't strike a nerve at all. I mean, Alphonso Davies is the better player. He plays more right wing back than he does right winger.
Right, but for Canada he plays right wing, which is weird. But for Bayern he plays back. So.
Yeah, he's more of a left wing back, if anything. Kind of like a Serginho Dest, can play in the midfield. But I mean, Alphonso Davies is more talented now and has the higher ceiling, I think.
Okay.
A bigger player, again, better defender, great on the ball, great speed. This one, to me, Sammy, isn't close. It's Alphonso Davies.
The last one for Pulisic is Marcus Rashford of England.
Yeah, this one's Pulisic. I hate Marcus Rashford. I hate his game. I think he's one of the most overhyped players in England. And if his name was Marcus Smart instead of Marcus Rashford, or Marcus Smith of Michigan, nobody would be paying attention to him.
True.
It's only because he's Marcus Rashford of England.
So that kind of sets the table for everybody to understand where Pulisic ranks in, some of these big countries where they have really big players that are playing, globally. So, good chance for USMNT to make a big statement. So the second one I wanted to get to, I think this is awesome because you've turned me on to him a little more. I've watched a lot more Leeds games because of you. And I liked his play a lot, and I wanted to compare him to some of the other players that I see maybe play similarly to him. So I chose Brendan Aronson as the player. Obviously for Leeds, he plays a little bit different than he does for USMNT. So the first player I chose as a comp, it's probably not close, but I wanted to start at least high and then start to go down, was Frankie de Jong of Holland.
So just a little bit on Brendan Aronson here. I know we're going to get into it in a little bit later, but this is a person that I don't know has a starting spot on the USMNT versus Wales. So this is a little difficult for me, Sammy.
Which is crazy to me. That's crazy to me.
He's a little bit overrated.
Really?
I think I like what he's doing. I think he has a great chance. His younger brother Paxton Aronson just signed for Frankfurt. He's 18 years old. Just signed with Frankfurt, Germany. In Germany, so that's a huge get. I think Aronson's ceiling has gone up immensely since he joined Leeds, but I don't know that he is. And I'm looking here, the same caliber of player as some of these guys that you have.
That's a tough one, but that's the respect that I give to him based on what I've seen, like how he plays, dude. That dude is nasty. He's really good. He plays really well.
So Frankie de Jong is a great player for the Dutch national team, and a great player for his club team. Is he more of like a CDM though, Frankie de Jong?
Probably more a little bit holding, so a little bit between. Yeah.
Kind of like a McKinney on the USMNT. So Brendan Aronson is so dangerous in the press. I think that's where he is most effective when he plays at the press. So
attacking mid, false nine, I see as Aronson.
Yeah, and he can also play a little bit of right winger as well, or right midfielder if you need him there. But I think I'm going to go Frankie de Jong here.
Mason Mount was the second one.
I fucking hate Mason. Same thing, Mason Mount. If his name was like Mason, I don't know, Mason Rivera out of Tampa, Florida, he wouldn't be shit. I'm going to go Aronson here.
This one you might not know, Leandro Paredes. Again, this is more of a holding midfielder though. So
Paredes, he plays for. I've heard of his name before.
He used to play for PSG.
He played for PSG, but who's he playing for now?
Let me see.
I think he plays in the Premier League, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't.
All right. Well,
Juventus now.
Who's he playing?
Juventus.
Oh, that's why I know him, because he's played with McKinney. So I have seen him play, actually. Are we talking like who do I want for this World Cup, or who do I want for like the rest of their career?
Sure. Pick a one. It doesn't matter. It's more of a you decide who do you like better.
I think Aronson. I like Aronson. I think he's the younger player. He has the higher upside than Paredes. Paredes is already 28. I'm looking here. So 28 is pretty much the prime for a soccer player. I think 28 to 30, 26 to 30. That's like their prime after, unless you're Messi and are just
Ronaldo, yeah.
Or Ronaldo, even at 38. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Aronson here, just by sheer just potential.
All right, this is where things get a little dicey. Eduardo Camavinga of France. Plays for Real Madrid, just won a Champions League. He's 19, though. Or 20.
I know Camavinga.
He might not even start. I think he'll eventually start this World Cup. He's going to.
Injuries.
No, but I mean, even with the lineup that they chose, or that they're showing as the projected starting, he's not, but I think he will eventually.
I mean, I'm probably gonna go Aronson. I think Aronson creates chances better than Camavinga. But that's close.
Okay.
That's real close. And again, You said he's 20, so the ceiling is higher with Camavinga. But as of today,
Aronson.
I'm gonna go Aronson.
I think that's fair. I'm not gonna argue with that. Leroy Sané of Germany.
I'm gonna go Sané. That's not even close.
Rodri of Spain.
In my opinion.
Plays for City.
Yeah. I know Rodri.
But again,
that team's just such a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And I mean, he plays up front with freaking Holland and Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go Roger here.
And then last one is probably not close. Lucas Paquetá of Brazil.
I would take every Brazilian player over.
That we're good, and that is a perfect segue because we are going to get right into that on that Brazil national team. But first and foremost, we're going to get to Group B so Vic can do his cooking and teach me and teach us a lot about the USMNT. So obviously, Group B, we have U.S. men's national team, England, Wales, and Iran. So Vic, hit me with some stats with USMNT. What are your expectations? What are their keys? Some players to watch, all that good stuff on the USMNT in this group.
Well, I mean, I can't really give you much stats here. I mean, soccer's. The advanced analytics have made a small dent in soccer, but I don't think it's near the level of baseball or even basketball at this point. So you're pretty much just looking at chances created and assists and goals. So it's very box scorey type stats. I feel like soccer is much more of a watching and feeling kind of thing. So I don't know how many stats I'm going to hit you with today on that.
No worries.
With all these teams, really.
Right,
so,
exactly.
But
it's all about form too, right? Like, I mean, that's something you and I talk about a lot. Is form. Who's in form?
100%. I'm not surprised by the Stefan thing, and here's why. Well, I was surprised at the moment. I'm lying. I was surprised at the moment. I'm not surprised anymore because if you think about it, it makes sense because it takes a decision out of Berhalter's hands, and I think Pepe's the same thing. So if Matt Turner has a bad first game, then the Twitter bots start talking, hey, you should start Stefan game 2. Start Stefan game 2. Even though Turner's the clear better goalkeeper, unfortunately he had a knock leading up to the World Cup and hasn't had a chance to play since. But really, he was doing terrific for Arsenal in the Europa League before that. I believe he already had 2 clean sheets. Stefan has looked a little shaky, so it makes sense if you're going to go with Matt Turner as your number 1 that you're going to leave Stefan off. Pepe, only 19 years old, maybe just turned 20. A surprising person to leave off after Pepe has a.
Is Turner better than Horvath?
100. Oh no, it's not even close. Yeah, it's not even close.
It's a question from the chat.
Matt Turner is the best goalkeeper that the United States has right now, and that's not close. And I think he has a high ceiling. The guy didn't start playing. The USMNT is more. Sorry, I was reading Anthony's question. And that's
Well, are they more concerned on inclusivity than winning soccer games?
No, that's ridiculous. We're obviously more concerned about winning soccer games because there's out of all the teams in the World Cup, I think we're one of the top nations that have players from everywhere and the best players. So. Like players that were born in different countries.
Look at France. The entire team is all born in another country. Well, mostly Africa,
yeah.
But
yeah, but no. I think this USMNT is definitely concerned about winning. But the real question is the coach concerned about winning or playing beautiful football? That's the issue. So no Stefan, no Pepe. Was a surprise. I love the Haji Wright pick. Okay. So Haji Wright, for those of you who don't know, was coming up in the youth national team system with Pulisic, with McKinney, with that whole group of guys. And actually, during the youth national team run back then, he was the guy everybody was excited about, not Pulisic. Everybody was like, "Wow, Haji Wright's going to be the next, freaking best striker in the world." He fell off a little bit with his club team. He's doing well in Turkey, and he is in form. So I like him. He's a big physical striker, 6'3", I believe. Pacey and is good with the ball on his feet. So I love the Haji Wright ad. I just wish instead of having 7 right backs, we would have added another striker like a Pepe or a Pifok.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the USMNT have, I believe, like 6 right backs. And I want to look at the. I need to pull up the roster real quick, but. So they have like 6 right backs and even Adams, who can play right back in a pinch. They only have 2 left-footed players on this team, Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson. So that gets me thinking that Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson are going to be that center back left back pairing that first game against Wales. I would love to see it, but based on how Berhalter has played before, he's played like more of a high press, kind of trying to play out of the back kind of deal. And we saw with Aaron Long, he's just not that player that can play out of the back with the ball. He's not comfortable with the ball on his feet. The issues with Tim Ream is he's a little bit less pacey. He's 35 years old, and it could be a problem against teams like England. So we'll see what happens. But back to my point about the strikers and the right backs. If you're going to take Reggie Cannon, if you're going to take these guys well, we didn't take Reggie Cannon. We took Shaq Moore. If you're going to take 6 right backs, at least leave one of them off and bring in a Pepe or bring in a Pefok or bring in somebody else. Because right now this team only has 3 strikers. And Jesus Ferreira, who's not even a real striker.
So does that mean they're probably going to run a 1 striker?
That's another problem with the U.S. system. We're running a 1 striker system. So we will not. Our best team, I think, that we put out there, and we're not going to do it, but to get the best players out there would be to put Weah in the 9 spot, put Reyna out on the right wing, and put Aronson in the middle, if possible. So that's, in my opinion, the way that we would have the best squad, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just have so many thoughts running through my head right now on this USMNT team. I'm trying to stay on point. But yeah, no, I don't know. The roster construction is what it is. The team is the second youngest in the World Cup, and is only the second youngest because of the additions of Tim Ream, DeAndre Yedlin, Carlos Roldan, those guys. So the roster is up to 26. There's probably 4 players on that team that aren't going to even see the pitch. So I think for those last 4 guys, Greg just wanted to go 5 guys. So who are the guys that are going to give me the best vibes in the locker room? That's why he went Roldan. That's why he went Morris. That's why he went Shaq Moore. And that's why we have those MLS guys in there. So yeah, Sammy, what else do you want to know?
No, that makes sense. No, I was going to add on. I mean, like I messaged you yesterday, and I was kind of breaking down a lot of the stuff to get prepared for today. I'm slowly getting more and more convinced. I think the biggest key to me for USA is to not tie or lose to Iran. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for the USMNT going forward. And I think, to your point, it's going to be interesting to see how this group can play together and if they have that glue to play in a tournament. Because I think that's the biggest thing. When you look down at all the teams, right, it's all going to come down to who's in form at the time, and does the team work as a unit, right? And at least 3 guys, in my opinion, right? Like every team that wins a World Cup, you look at 3 crucial guys that help the team get there and bring everybody up with them. And who are those guys going to be for the U.S. men's national team? And I was kind of going down the list. I'm like, this team has some solid quality. Like if you're an outsider, right? Like if you're somebody in Europe or Africa, Asia, and you're in South America, and you're looking at the U.S. men's national team, and you look at Brendan Aronson, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Serginho Dest, you see all these players who play in Europe who have the caliber to play in Champions Leagues, and you're like, wow, this team's actually pretty good. But can those guys be in form in the World Cup and kind of bring, like you mentioned, the MLS guys with them, kind of, drag them along?
Yeah.
So.
And if you look at it, Cameron Carter-Vickers is another guy that could start in the center back pairing with Zimmerman. I think Zimmerman is the only one that's a for sure starter for that team as far as the center backs are concerned. But then you have Cameron Carter-Vickers and Tim Ream, in my opinion, are the only other 2 that are the other 2 that are kind of going for that left center back spot. But Cameron Carter-Vickers, same thing. A Champions League guy that's performing well, starts almost every week for Celtic. Tim Ream, a guy that captains a Premier League team in Fulham, who is honestly surprising the nation right now. But on top of that, he's paired with his left back, Anthony Robinson, who also plays with him at Fulham, and both have been in great form lately.
Yep.
Other than giving up a late goal last week against Manchester United, but have been in good form. And then you look at our midfield, and that's where the real strength of the USMNT is, in that midfield. Where you have Brendan Aronson.
And that hasn't always been the case for the U.S. men's national team.
No, you're right. It's usually been, honestly, the best player on the pitch has been
goalie,
a forward and a goalie.
Yeah.
But if you look at Brendan Aronson, you look at Kellen Acosta, even though he plays in the MLS, I think Kellen Acosta is a European quality player. and is just playing in the MLS because that's where he gets paid the most money and where he's going to get guaranteed starts. But
Right.
I like Kellen Acosta a lot as a guy off the bench who, if we're winning and we need somebody to put in that another holding midfielder in there, that's a great player. Musa, the midfield though, in my opinion, is MMA. Musa, McKinney, and Adams. That's the guaranteed starters there. The issue with me on that midfield is McKinney, and what kind of McKinney are we going to get?
Exactly.
Are we going to get a Weston McKinney that's incredible, playing on the air, pressing the ball, or are we going to get an uninterested McKinney? So, I think it's tough because we can't start all of our best players because all of our best players kind of play the same position. McKinney, Adams, Musa. Then you got Aronson in that midfield. You also have Gio Reyna who can play on that midfield or the wing, honestly, but he's better centrally. But he can do either or. But then even Tim Weah, who's crucial to this team in terms of spreading the field. So it's just how is Greg going to get all these guys on the field is my concern.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip. I was going to go to England next, but I'm going to skip that. Go to Wales since that's going to be the first game.
Sure.
But actually, before I get to that, what are your expectations? I know I put mine down. What are your expectations for this USA men's national team?
What are my expectations, or what do I think is going to happen?
Give me both.
I'm nervous, Sammy. My expectation is that we at least make it out of the group. This is a young team. Most of them are at their first World Cup. The only person on this team with World Cup experience is DeAndre Yedlin. So I would be happy if we made it out of the group. I'm worried. I'm worried.
Okay. See, I put my expectations as this team has quarterfinal potential, but I think round of 16 is incredibly reasonable, and I'll get to that, and that's why I wanted to skip to Wales, because I look at this as a team who's kind of a mixed bag right now. Obviously, this team relies heavily on Gareth Bale. Granted, Gareth Bale used to be a world-class player, maybe not as much anymore.
James.
Huh? And Daniel James, correct. But if you look at their path to the World Cup, I believe it was something like 70 to 80% of the team scoring in qualifying was either scored or assisted by Bale or Ramsey. So those are two guys that aren't young anymore, right? Like, I mean, granted, Ramsey still plays tremendously, but, he's aging. Bale has always been up and down in form for club, but we all know that he always shows up for Wales. Especially when you look at Euros.
Even starting for LAFC.
Right.
By the way.
Right. So, I mean, his club play, is he fit, right? So you don't know if he's going to have the fitness to go more than 1-2 games, especially because the games are so compact, right? Like the games, you have another game within like 3 or 4 days of each other. So it's going to be really, really quick. But with that being said, I put kind of like my keys and players to watch for Wales just for people who aren't, fully familiar. Your player to watch, obviously Gareth Bale, and as you mentioned perfectly, Daniel James. And I said their keys are they need scoring and playmaking from their non-grandfathered in players. So it really is going to rely on, because you have those key three, Ramsey, Bale, and James, but it's really going to be, can they get scoring or playmaking elsewhere, right? If players are really going to, or if other teams know exactly where your play is coming from, especially because of those three guys, and if those guys aren't fit, and if it's really just Daniel James, because he's probably going to come in the most fit out of those three, right? So if he's the only one coming in fit, then it's
playing
like
for Fulham, by the way,
right,
and on loan from Leeds.
And
hurtful. If
they fall flat and it's really just Daniel James trying to run the show, well, that's where USA has the advantage there. So I that's why I think there is round of 16 potential here, just because of the question mark of Wales.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Sammy, but the thing is that this team is scary. They can score, and what worries me about the USMNT. Now, I haven't seen them with Weah and Musa in a while, and Reyna, for that matter. They haven't all seen the field together in a while. But with these last few games and the games leading up to it, they've had lack of goal scoring on anything other than set pieces. So if we go down early, I'm worried about their ability to come back against a team of the quality of Wales. I think as U.S. Fans, we like to overrate our team a lot. and forget that there are other quality teams out there that have been playing together for a while. So that's what scares me with Wales. But really the pace of this Wales team, because the lack of pace in our defense could be scary. But Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie are going to be so crucial, and Musa too. I mean, people sleep on Musa, but he's a great holding midfielder. He really is. He is going to be incredible. Him and Reyna, in my opinion, are two of the biggest, highest upside guys in this group, let alone on the men's national team here. But I like our chances against Wales, but I wouldn't be shocked if we ended up tying 1-1 or 0-0.
Right, and that's what I think is important. That was my other key, was you gotta at least tie that game, right? You gotta at least tie that game. You gotta smash Iran, and that's gonna get to my next one. I think Iran is sneaky. Everybody overlooks them because they don't watch them. Iran is one of the strongest teams in Asia. I know that's not saying much, but still, if you're destroying all of your competition in Asia, that's a big deal. You're getting rid of trash competition. Granted, they might not be able to fight up against European powers or South American powers, but these are the cards they're dealt. They dominate the cards they're dealt. So they're extremely well coached. They're very experienced. You're looking at their striker, Mehdi Taremi, is coming in on form, like crazy form, scoring 13 goals in 19 appearances at Porto. And that's in all appearances. So that's even in Champions League matches. And then their big question mark is Sardar Azmoun, who suffered a calf injury, and he's questionable to even play, but he was called. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. And their biggest key for Iran is they play such a tremendous defense and counterattacking game. They're not fast, they're not pacey, but if you're caught on your back foot, they'll make you pay. And they're so strong. Yeah, they're so strong defensively that they don't mind bringing 9 people back and then just countering with one guy. If you're trying to consistently pressure up, they're going to get one over. And if they score one, they might not give up one, if that makes sense. So that's one of their really, really strong things going forward. But that's what they're the tricky one here, because if you look at some of the other groups, if you look at who their weakest team is, it's kind of like I don't think their weak team is as strong as probably Iran is as a weak team, if that makes sense. Like, they're kind of the king of the weaker teams.
I get it. Yeah, I know what you're saying. This is the Algeria of the group, in my opinion. If you guys remember back to that World Cup in South Africa, where the United States barely qualified through the group stage by beating Algeria in a last-minute goal by Landon Donovan. But I don't know. The thing is with Iran, so there's so much stuff going outside of the team, right? But on top of that, Iran just fired their coach and brought in their old coach. Kind of pulled the USMNT when they brought in Bruce Arena to try and qualify for the World Cup. But I think the coach has been there for 3 months, something like that. Those are the things that scare me with Iran. Not scare me for Iran, right? And I think could work out in the USMNT's favor.
Right.
But again, like you said, this is not a team to take lightly. This is a solid team that can absolutely put up a chance on you on a corner.
This is a team that got 4 points in 2018.
It's a quick tournament, and really anything can happen. And this is a team that, again, has some guys. They have guys playing in Europe too, right? So we'll see what happens. But if the U.S. wants to make it out of this group stage, we need like a 2-0 victory against Iran.
Yes, exactly. You need to smash them.
Yeah.
Last one, obviously, European runners-up, England, in the last iteration of the Euros in 2020. They're always so confusing to me, and not from a group stage perspective, because I think everybody thinks that England's going to get out of this group, right? Like, that's kind of without question that they're talented enough, they're deep enough that even if somebody gets hurt, they have somebody to fill in to win, or not win the group, but at least get out of the group. But it's always for England is what is their ceiling, right? And you look at England as a team that, okay, you have the greatest league in the world, you have some of the best players in the world, but you just can't win at that next level as a nation. I think we saw the closest they've come in 2020. I mean, this is in recent years, right? I'm not talking about probably one of the first World Cups ever when England won it, but I'm talking about in recent years.
One of the Beckham days,
yeah. that we're seeing them coming off the loss to Italy, who, mind you, didn't even qualify for the World Cup. I don't know. Like I can never predict what England's gonna do. This has always been my vice with England. Whenever I see them in the World Cup, I'm like, I get excited and I'm like, you know what? They have the talent, but then they always fall flat on their face.
The toughest thing for England is the pressure that they're facing right now. In my opinion, they're their own worst enemies. Not only in this group, but when they get out of this group. Right. I think they're pretty much as close as there is a lock to get out of a group. Out of all these teams here.
Correct.
I mean, they're just so talented everywhere. Their issue again is their manager, Southgate. So, but they have so much talent on this team. I know, no Sancho, no
Reece James.
Reece James, but no, the other right back. Can't think of his name. Plays for Liverpool.
Oh, Trent Alexander-Arnold?
Trent Alexander-Arnold. Still, it's still England.
And they have other guys that can step up, though. Like, that's what's scary.
Yeah, they have Foden. They have Kane. They have Saka. They have Harry Maguire.
No, I think TAA is going. He just...
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was hurt. Okay.
No, he played in the City match for the last at least 15 minutes. A few weeks ago, but yeah, there was question marks whether he was going to go or not. But
they have Jude Bellingham, who is another guy that's just incredible.
Yeah.
Plays with Reina at Dortmund. But yeah, I mean, this is a talented team, Sammy. And just up front, they're just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Kane, Foden, Raheem Sterling.
Bukayo Saka, who's been in crazy form for Arsenal.
Arsenal, who is just coming around now. But it's a scary team, Sammy. I don't want to lose by 7 points.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me with England, I kind of wrote this down because I didn't want to forget it because I thought it was a perfect way to describe it, is when does the scoring start and when does the scoring end for England? Because there are many times, especially in Euros, where I saw them, especially in group play and in the beginning of the knockout stages, where they just looked like the best team in all of football. And then for some reason, I think it was like the end of the quarters to the final, it just like, then they stopped scoring. Like it just, something happened where they just, they still looked good. The build-up still looked good. They just didn't have what it took in that final third to score. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like Southgate, like you mentioned, maybe the formations weren't right. Maybe the tactics weren't efficient. I mean, but when you get to quarterfinals and semifinals of Euros, it gets really tough. So obviously that's a little bit different. But I think that's going to be their biggest key is if they start scoring, they got to keep doing it. And I think they can. They have a shot at winning the World Cup. I think this might be 100%. One of their years to have a good shot.
100%.
Yeah. Anything else you want to get to with Group B? USA, the men's national team thoughts.
I got so many. I mean, I could do a whole 2 hours in the U.S. we have so many other.
We do.
Groups to get to, but I mean, I just really hope that if you look at this USMNT team, the thing is crazy. The next World Cup, this next World Cup is after in 2026 in the U.S. I mean, Gio Reyna is going to be like 23. Musa is going to be like 23. Pulisic is going to be 26. I mean, this team is built for the future, but I would love us to make a run this year.
Yeah.
At least get to the knockout stages.
Yeah, it's real big things for the U.S. men's national team. So everybody watching, obviously we got a lot of fans here in the United States. So keep a watch out for the U.S. men's national team. Watch that soccer. Watch how well they do. They're going to make you proud, I think.
I hope so.
But all right, on to Group A. So we got Qatar, Ecuador, Netherlands, and Senegal. So I kind of did like a whole big thing. The first thing that I wanted to get to with Qatar, if they win a single game, I'm going to call shenanigans. I'm going to call BS. Although they might be able to beat Senegal because, Sadio Mane is now not playing in the World Cup, which is really unfortunate for Senegal. They were one of the African favorites to kind of move out of their group. But without him, I think it's going to be really difficult because he's kind of there.
You don't think they're going to make it still?
Ecuador's good.
Ecuador's. I really haven't seen that many Ecuador.
Ecuador's good. You can ask JC knows. Ecuador's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Ecuador's fast. They play like an African team with some South American tactics. It's pretty scary actually. It's pretty sneaky how good they are. But yeah, speaking of Ecuador, they were fourth in South America in qualifying, but apparently like there was no doubt in them losing their spot. They were so far ahead, and I think they have a sneaky ability to win the group, if that makes sense. Like if they pull out a tie against Netherlands and beat Qatar and Senegal, they could probably win that group. Some players to watch. The two that I chose were obviously kind of two Premier League players, but two players that are actually playing really well. Moises Caicedo and Pervis Estupiñán, both of which play for Brighton. So two pretty good players on Ecuador there. Qatar, obviously they're the host country. They have no players who have played internationally, as most of them play in the Qatar League. They couldn't even make it out of the group stages in Copa America. They made a decent run in CONCACAF. You watched a little bit in CONCACAF. What did you think of Qatar when they were in the Gold Cup?
Do you really want to know what I think about Qatar?
No. All I got to say is if they win, it's a sham. If they get out of the group, it's bullshit. I'm calling shenanigans. I'm calling... I'll probably never watch soccer again.
I would be shocked if they scored a goal in this group, to be honest with you.
I would be too, honestly.
I'll tell you, the team I like in this group, Sammy, is the Netherlands.
Yeah.
This is a young Netherlands team. When I first started watching world football, if you will, the Netherlands were the top team with fantastic strikers, Robin van Persie, Arjen Robben,
Wesley Sneijder.
Wesley Sneijder. Just great team, great teams overall. So now I think they're making their comeback with these young guys. Like we already mentioned, Frankie de Jong, Memphis Depay, who is not young but is still a quality player.
He's in his prime. I'd say he's in his prime.
Yeah. And Virgil van Dijk, who is an excellent defender in his own right.
The best, probably the best center back in the entire world.
100%. So this team is definitely going to make it out. It's just a matter of how far they go. I don't think this is the World Cup where they make the run, but I think that they're close.
Keep talking.
And they're very well coached. So going on to Senegal now. I know you want to go into the Sadio Mane thing, but losing Sadio Mane for this World Cup was devastating, especially since he was named to the roster. So a lot of people had hope that he was going to actually make it, and then end up losing him. You like Ecuador and Netherlands out of this group?
Yes, I do. I normally would have chosen Senegal just because I know they're, and here's the thing with Senegal. They're besides the Sadio Mane injury, I mean, they're flush with pace, fitness, and strength. That was one of the things that I noticed the most because I watched African Cup of Nations, and just watching them. I watched them in the quarterfinal matches when I was seeing who Morocco would have played, and I was like, man, like I'm so glad we didn't have to play or that we lost, because if we had to play Senegal, we would have got absolutely destroyed because of how fast they are. But they do lack finishing, and their creativity really does rely on Mane. So having him out is really a detriment to their team. Massive,
Agreed.
like massive. I mean, some players that you can watch, obviously Ismail Assar, Idrissa Gueye, and then, I mean, Tottenham Hotspur, he hasn't really played much, but Papa Matar Sarr, soon to be kind of a next, I guess, budding star for, African players. I think he's 19, 20 years old. So they have some talent there, but I think Ecuador's better. It's just as a whole, as a cohesive unit. So
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, some players, as you mentioned perfectly, for Netherlands to watch: Frankie de Jong, Memphis Depay, Virgil van Dijk. So another thing that I saw was Netherlands has a 77% chance to make the round of 16 and a 10% chance to make the final. So they're a semi-favorite, not just coming out of their group, but to actually make it to the final. I think
Yeah, go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
No, I think their biggest downfall is what their strength is. Like they're very good in possession. They're probably one of the best defending teams, like best team defending teams in the World Cup. But Netherlands has always been a team, and I don't know what it is. They have total football, right? Like that's what you hear when you hear total football. It's Netherlands. They adopted that. Johan Cruyff. They kept that in their mantra all these years, and they've always lacked a clinical striker. I mean, besides the times that you were talking about with Netherlands, that was probably one of the very few times where they did have clinical strikers, where they had Van Persie, who was one of the best strikers in the world, and then even 8 years before that when they had Bergkamp. But besides that, like they've just lacked that clinical striker to take in the final third, and you're going to hear that actually a lot on a lot of these teams. Is maybe besides Argentina, besides Brazil, besides France has other problems. Is striker play. Like striker play is going to be so important.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. One team that doesn't have striker problems is the team in the next group that we're going to talk about, Group C.
Boom.
That's Poland.
There it is. Perfect. Yeah.
Robert Lewandowski, baby.
Start it up. Talk about Poland, baby.
What do you think? This is his final World Cup?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the group in question, Group C, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. So go ahead on Poland.
Poland, their strength is really in their midfield and defense, but realistically, it's really a one man band with Robert Lewandowski. He's still a great striker, in my opinion.
Probably the best.
Yeah, still
after Holland.
And let's be honest. I mean, he was the Holland of his time.
Correct.
When he was fit, he was one of the best of his time. This could be a sneaky team to make it out of the group. I don't think they have the horses, but if you want a long shot bet in this group, my bet would be Poland.
Yeah, and I think it's going to depend on Zielinski and Szymanski in their midfield, as you mentioned. Can they be effective and efficient at feeding Robert Lewandowski? So exactly what you said. He is the horse that makes this band run, and they're in Europe. They're one of the lesser talented overall teams in Europe, so they play very counterattack style. But it's really going to depend on how effective those three are together up top to be able to create the chances for Lewandowski to finish. Because we all know if Lewandowski gets a shot in front of goal, he's finishing it. Like there's no chance he's not.
We got a question in the chat right now for you, Sammy. This is a good either or for you. Lewandowski or Mbappe?
Oh, okay. So you're talking about right now or ever? Or because obviously going forward, Mbappe has the higher ceiling, right? Because he's younger. He's
20?
He's like 23 or 24.
Yeah.
But I think overall as a striker, I do like Lewandowski just because of his skill. And I only say that because, and I'm a big PSG fan, I only say that because Mbappe plays like a winger, but he wants to play as a striker. Like he has too much pace to play as a true 9. Lewandowski is probably one of the best, and I'll say this, Lewandowski might be one of the best true 9s we've ever seen in our lives.
I think Haaland has something to say about that.
Yes, right, but it hasn't happened yet. But
God. Can we just find like an American uncle for Haaland? Like, does he have a cousin that lives in the States that we can get him eligibility? For Christ's sake, man. Oh. But yeah,
yes,
I mean, I agree with you, Sammy. I mean, Lewandowski, another player who I fell in love with during a time when I really started to get into soccer, and just he's been one of my all-time favorites. A great player, a great teammate, and just in my opinion, the only striker that comes even close to him, in my opinion, in terms of my hierarchy, who I've seen in my life, is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And maybe Mario Balotelli back in the day when he was like on one. Remember Mario Balotelli?
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Good comparison. But all right, the other team, and you can give me a little more information on this, you're a CONCACAF watcher, is Mexico. So obviously they're a CONCACAF powerhouse, plays a very free-flowing style of soccer. In my opinion, I've always said this, no disrespect to my Mexican friends, my Mexican homies. They play such an ugly brand of soccer, but for them, it always works. It's so ugly. But to be fair, in qualifying, they were unvictorious against the USA and Canada. So there is a lot of torment coming for Mexico and that coach if they don't make it out of this group. A lot of pressure.
And there's a lot of Lozano versus Pulisic heads out there that are just going to keep comparing those two for the rest of their lives. In my opinion, it's not even close. Pulisic is already the better player and has the better ceiling. But let's be honest, Gio Reyna is still number one in my eyes.
And to answer this person, or to respond to this person's M. Pineda Jr., Lewandowski has a knack for being in the right place at the right time for all his goals. That is what makes him such a great number 9.
Yeah.
Like, that's what a number 9 does.
Positioning.
You have to be in that right spot to get the goal.
And
that's what Mbappe lacks.
His size. And I'm an old school guy. I like a striker that has pace, but I like him to have size. That's why Haaland is like incredible. He has both. He's fast as shit, and he's
skill. You got to have some skill. You got to hold the ball.
Yeah. But I like a big striker. So I want to say that Mexico. They're the U.S.'s arch rival. I have Mexican uncles. I have Mexican aunts. I have, you know what I mean. I just want to see them fail so bad, and I'm just so sick of El Tri and all those guys on that team. I just don't. I know that they're probably the second most talented team in this group. And honestly, every time the World Cup comes around, Guillermo Ochoa turns into freaking like prime.
He's nasty.
What's his name? Prime.
Buffon,
or even what's the guy with the helmet that used to wear the helmet?
Petr Cech.
Petr Cech. Yeah, I mean, he's just incredible. The guy, whenever he puts on that Mexico jersey, he's the best player on the pitch. But again, same problem, right? I don't know that they have the horses up front to score goals to get into the deeper rounds. I think they make it out of the group ultimately. I'm being unbiased here. I think it's an easy road for them. But they are a team with high expectations, and they can fall. But I think this is a team that can make a deep run. We'll see what happens with Mexico. They are definitely going to finish second in this group to Argentina, though. I don't think it's close.
Players to watch, as you mentioned, Chucky Lozano, Irving Lozano, Raul Jimenez, and then probably my favorite player, who I still think plays really, really good, Andres Guardado. I've always said Andres Guardado looks like he does not belong in Mexican soccer, because I think he plays like way above the talent level of the rest of his team. But that's besides the point.
Did Hector Herrera make the squad, right? Did he make the squad?
I don't think so.
Okay, good, because I'm so tired of seeing those big ass ears.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, Guardado's great.
Oh yeah, he did make the team.
Yeah, okay, I forget that. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I have to agree with JC. I think Guardado is their best player right now. Even though everybody wants to fawn over Lozano, I think it's not even close.
Guardado plays so good, man.
Yeah, he's a player. But yeah, so just to keep it short and sweet, I think Mexico and Argentina. I mean, not much to say on Argentina. This is just a great team with, probably with one of the best players in the world still on this team in Leo Messi. I know you have Angel Di Maria here still too, and he's older. This might be an older Argentinian team that we might see like the changing of the guard, if you will.
Correct.
Where this might be their last shot, best shot for a few years to win a World Cup. So
correct.
I still don't know that they make it to the finals, but I think that they're definitely one of the favorites in this tournament to at least make the semifinals or the quarterfinals.
Yep, they have a 48% chance to make the quarterfinal, 8% chance to win the title. So one of the favorites, as you mentioned. Messi has won every tournament he could for club and country except the World Cup now. So obviously there's that on their shoulders. And I watch a lot of Argentina because they're one of my favorite teams to watch. Just since growing up, my father taught me all about soccer, and we watched a lot of Argentina. And out of all the teams that I've watched, in the last 2 years watching Argentina has been the most pleasant. And not just because that they're winning, but because of the fact how they're winning. And they're winning through their skill, right? So instead of previously you've had Argentina teams where it's just so star-studded that everybody plays for themselves. But how Scaloni has been able to implement this team where everybody knows their role and they all know that everything goes through Messi. And when you watch how Di Maria, Martinez, and Messi play in that top three like that triangle up top, when it's on, it's really good. Now I will say this: Lo Celso is not playing, so that's going to be really key to watch who steps up in that midfield triangle, because they play many triangles up the field, and Lo Celso was a key part of that lower triangle to bring it up to Messi. So who's going to step up is going to be key, because he's out for this tournament. And yeah, that not much else to say.
Yep. Yeah, let's just go right on to it, right? Because let's go from one favorite to another. Let's go to France.
Yeah, Group D: France, Denmark, Australia, and Tunisia.
A team that lost like 6 starters and still had 6 starters left to throw in there. Yeah. I mean, France and Brazil, man. I mean, what the hell? These teams are so stacked. It's not even funny. I think France is my number 2 favorite. Obviously behind Brazil to win the tournament. But they got a mixed bag of youth and people that have been there before. Obviously, coming off
SHS baby.
Yeah, no, you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, this is a team that without some of their best players, Conte, not coming in, missing from injury, but I don't think. What else can we say about this French team other than Mbappe is obviously a player to watch. I mean, who else would you throw in there? I mean, we talked about Camavinga earlier. Just a great team.
The biggest thing that I'm taking from this is, one, Mbappe. Is he going to stop being a whiny little bitch? And I'm a big PSG fan, and he has become a whiny little bitch because he's won. And my buddy Christian pointed this out. I wanted to have him on the show, but we had to do it Thursday. He's at work, but he's won everything since he's been playing professional soccer, or at least gone. Like, he went to the finals with PSG, like his second year. He won the World Cup in 2018. He got best youth player as soon as he came up. This guy has gotten everything handed to him, and now when adversity strikes, he just does not step up. He missed the penalty in the Euros, which is humongous. They were supposed to be favorites. They lost to Switzerland, like a team that wouldn't even, wouldn't even wipe their ass. As far as talent goes, you lose to a team like that because Mbappe missed that penalty kick. Now, me, dude. I'm a huge France lover. I love most of the players from France. I'm a huge PSG fan, but they potentially lost 3 of their most crucial players from 2018: Pogba, Conte, and Varane is a question mark because of the injury he suffered before. I think he's there, and he's on the squad.
I mean, they still have Condé there, right?
No, Conte's not playing.
No, Condé.
Oh, Jules Condé. Yeah, but I'm just saying, from a midfield perspective, what Pogba and Conte did for that 2018 team was like, nobody noticed it until they kind of broke down France's wins after the World Cup. They were like, holy crap, Conte and Pogba covered so much ground for that team.
But you're saying Varane is a question mark. Even without Varane, they still have incredible center backs.
Without the experience, Varane was in the prime of his career in 2018. Like, he was on a heater.
He's incredible. But even they even have the horses back there to stop him. And in my opinion, they have one of the best goalkeepers in the tournament, in Hugo Lloris as well. I mean, other than Matt Turner, of course, and probably one of the most experienced goalkeepers in all of World Cup.
And I'd even get to Griezmann, who hasn't looked anywhere near as good as he used to be.
I don't think you think he's starting for this
team?
No.
Yeah.
You think he's starting?
No. They have no other false 9. He's starting at false 9. He's one of the best false 9s in the world.
So you don't think Benzema's playing then?
Yeah, it'll be Benzema and Mbappe, and then Griezmann playing the false 9, and then
where's Coman play?
Coman's probably going to play a wing or a wing back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to have Mbappe on the wing.
It's going to be a 4-3-1-2.
Yeah, but so and then Dembele plays where?
Dembele might not even start.
That's crazy to me. I mean, I think you got to play.
It's going to be Camavinga. Camavinga's starting. Chouameni's going to start. Then you have Coman. And then on the back line, you probably have Pavard, Condé, Varane, And then actually maybe Coman plays on the right back.
Yeah. I mean,
'Cause
there's
he's
just a
done
lot
that.
you can do there. I mean, all these teams pretty much, all these players pretty much start consistent basis for Champions League teams. I mean, there's not much else to talk about here. I mean, Group D is just a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, Denmark, fine, whatever.
That's my dark horse. That's my dark horse.
They're definitely gonna make it.
That's my dark horse to get it to a semifinal or a quarterfinal. No, Australia and Tunisia. That's why I put them together. I'm like, they kind of are.
I don't think we need to discuss them at all. I think Denmark is the only other team we need to talk about in this group, and Christian Eriksen, if he's healthy, if he's fit, is going to be great.
Yep.
And then Simon Kjaer could be good too.
Yeah. I think if you look at, that's my dark horse team, what they did in 2020, they're semifinalists in the Euros in 2020, played incredible. They have depth at all positions. They play as a cohesive unit, which is super important in the World Cup, especially the depth they have at all of the positions. Their biggest key, and again, it's going to be kind of a repetitive thing, can their strikers finish? And Damsgaard hasn't been as good as he was in 2020. Dolberg still in decent form, but can he show that 2020 form where he scored 5 goals for Denmark? But that's one of the teams that I'm like, I like them a lot. They play, if you guys want to watch like pretty good soccer, I think that Denmark-France game is going to be really fun to watch. Unless, I got to see how they do it. If they play each other last, it might be lame because they'll both be like, oh, we're just going to play for the tie because we're both moving on. But anyway, let's move on to Group E. This one's a fun one.
All right.
Group E: Spain, Germany, Costa Rica, and Japan. So start with Spain, Vic. What do you got on Spain?
This is a young team, a very young team. I think this is an up and coming team. I don't know. I definitely. This is one of the groups that I had a hard time pinning. Who's going to make it out, right? So Spain, and I'm gonna start taking a more broad look at the groups as we go through because I don't want to spend too much time on one team in particular. But this is a team that's kind of similar to Japan in the group, where it's a possession-based offense, and I think you have it here. So I'm going to steal this from you. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
But passing. I mean, that's the truth. So, and I feel like Japan and Spain are the same in that they're just so cohesive. And Japan is the older, less talented version of Spain.
Correct.
But I think Spain is definitely in a good position to win the group. Although I don't think it's a foregone conclusion as it used to be that Spain is going to make it through this group, because I think that they're going to have some tough competition with Costa Rica, who's another team that's played together a lot. And I think they're going to have tough competition from Japan. I think Germany is the only one of these teams that I can say is definitely going to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, Spain will suffocate you with passing, right? Like, that's always been their thing, and they kind of continued that. They lack a true striker, so if you think back to 2008, 2010, 2012, you're looking at Spain as like with, David Silva and Fernando Torres up front, and it was just, or David Villa and Fernando Torres up front, and it was just Torres scoring. And they had passing and they had scoring. They just don't have the scoring right now. Alvaro Morata has not been, what he was advertised early on in his career. So it's really going to rely on Pedri and Ferran Torres. So that was kind of why I put those as players to watch. Pedri, Ferran Torres, obviously Gavi, 3 players to watch. They do have the talent. But yeah, as you mentioned, I think Costa Rica is another one of those teams similar to Iran, right? Where they're experienced, they defend extremely well, they allow pressure, and they counter you. So
they're better than Iran, though.
They are. Correct. And they're better than Iran in that. And they have probably, again, another goalkeeper who shows up in the World Cup.
And let's not forget, they got Joel Campbell, too.
Yep, Joel Campbell can score, man. But yeah, I think you're right. With Germany, they're high press, high possession. They'll pressure you to death and suffocate you. I don't think anybody in this group is talented enough to not make mistakes that Germany will force you to make. I think Germany's issues are going to be out of the group, not necessarily in the group. They're tactful, they're talented, youthful. Midfield's really good. I mean, players to watch for them: Jamal Musiala, who's 19, Thomas Muller, and then obviously, Manchester City, Ilkay Gundogan. So watching how that midfield is structured, and obviously Thomas Muller be able to finish from anywhere. He's a midfield. He's a midfielder turned striker now, or midfielder turned forward now.
and then there's another great player in this group as well for Japan.
Yep.
The Samurai Blue have Daiichi Kamada, right?
Oh man, he's awesome.
He's really good.
Yeah. And Minamino.
And what's that?
Takumi Minamino. He used to play for Arsenal, I believe.
I don't think I've ever seen him play. Who
Yeah.
does he play for now?
I think he plays in Germany.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, they got some good players, but the thing about Japan is that they're so disciplined.
They are.
And yeah, so
They're fun to watch.
That's a scary team.
Japan's really fun to watch.
Yep.
All right, Group F. So this is always the fun group. This is a fun group for me. You got Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Morocco. Vic, I'm a little bit biased, so I'll let you go first. What's your take on this group?
I love Belgium. I love Belgium. I've always loved Belgium. Belgium was my team in the 2018 World Cup when the U.S. didn't qualify. I think this is another team. It's funny because you have a lot of teams here that are, other than France and Brazil, that are not really in their prime, that are either on the up and coming or on their last shot. And I think this Belgian team is one of those teams this is their final shot kind of thing.
This is
win
it
all. Kevin De Bruyne is probably on his last legs here. So I like Belgium a lot to win it. I definitely think they're coming out of this group. That's not even a question. It's a foregone conclusion. It's basically just who's going to generate goals for them, and I think it could be Jeremy Doku, who's the new generational star for this Belgian national team. So no Eden Hazard this year,
but his brother's there.
Oh, is he? Oh, I didn't know that.
Torgan.
Okay, hold on. Let me look at your show notes. Who you got as players to watch? You like De Bruyne and Hazard, huh? Okay.
Torgan, not Eden.
Yeah. He's not. I don't think he's on the roster. Is he?
No, he's not.
Yeah. No. But yeah, I think they just have so much talent. I think they have Thibaut Courtois still there.
Yep.
Another great goalkeeper, right? So I think it's Belgium running away with this, and it's not even close.
Okay.
But every preview I read for this group said that Doku is the guy.
Okay. I like that. I like that you pulled that out on me. I like that. A little bit of Ligue 1.
Well, I did a little digging on the teams that I never watched really.
Okay.
Other than a few of the CONCACAF teams. Another team here. I'm just gonna go right into Canada because I know I've watched more Canada games than you have. This is a team that hurts my soul because one of their best players is Jonathan David, who was born in Brooklyn. And you know what the USMNT is missing right now?
What?
Number 9. God damn it! I think this team has a good chance of making it out of the group, but I think this might be one of the toughest groups to call in the whole competition. You've got a great team in Canada who, even though their FIFA World ranking is 41, they're a better team than that. They have Jonathan David, they have Kyle Larin, they have Alphonso Davies, they have guys that can score and guys that can play the field, especially Alphonso Davies, who I think could be one of the best players in this tournament when it's all said and done. And then you got team. I'm gonna let you cook on Morocco, so I'm just gonna go straight down to Croatia, and this is a team with Luka Modric, who is kind of like a timeless player, like Messi, right?
He reminds me of Pirlo.
Kovacic.
Remember Pirlo just kept playing and was still good?
Kovacic, also. So just great. Another good team. I think that they could have a chance to make a deep run as well. So a tough group for Canada and CONCACAF to make it out. In my opinion, though, if you're asking me, the two teams that make it out, I got Belgium and Morocco. And you tell me why I got Morocco in there.
So this is their second World Cup in a row. So 2018 was their first time making the World Cup since 1998. So they are on a little heater here. After Mane's injury, they are African favorites to make it to the round of 16. Everybody's got their eyes on Morocco as being kind of a sneaky dark horse. Not to go far, but to get, to make noise as an African team. They have a chip on their shoulder. Their morale is high after they lost their coach. They were undefeated in qualifying. Not only were they undefeated in qualifying, they only conceded 1 goal. The least amount of goals out of any team in all of, I think, the FIFA qualifying groups in Europe, Africa, Asia, everything. 1 goal. They conceded 1 single goal. They have players with Champions League experience. So obviously we mentioned Hakim Ziyech earlier. You got Ashraf Hakimi, who is undoubtedly now the best right back in the entire planet.
100%.
Hands down. You have a bunch of players. Pretty much their entire team plays in Europe. All have Champions League experience. They're technically gifted. They play with great fitness because they have to, right? If you're playing in Africa, not only do you have to have technical skills to win, but you have to have fitness to be able to compete in African Cup of Nations. They got a Moroccan-born and actually an ex-Moroccan international as their coach. So he was able to call back Ziyech, call back Mazraoui, who plays for Bayern Munich, starts for Bayern Munich. And the morale's never been higher for Morocco. I think they have a chip on their shoulder after what had happened against Iran in 2018, where if they didn't lose to Iran and they give up that own goal, they would have moved on to the next round because they ended up beating Spain and tying to Portugal. My 3 players to watch: Hakim Ziyech, of course, from Chelsea, who just scored a banger from half field today. Ashraf Hakimi. And then another sneaky one, Sofiane Boufal. He played for Southampton. I believe it was in 2016 when he had goal of the year, where he took the ball from his own 18, dribbled through like 6 defenders and scored. I think it was against like Aston Villa, if I'm not mistaken. So if you can, take a look at it. Dude's got tremendous skills. Granted, I'm nervous because I don't know what this Moroccan team is. So talented. It's probably the most talented Moroccan team since 1986. And that was the last time they won the African Cup. And that was the last time that they made it past the group stages in the World Cup. So
this is a team that actually reminds. It's funny that we each are fans and of these two teams, but this team reminds me a lot of the U.S. In terms of what type of players the caliber of players that they have. Obviously, the U.S. doesn't have anybody of the caliber of Hakimi. But
nobody does. Well, some people do. I mean, Brazil does.
Yeah, I mean Hakimi's incredible. But in terms of like they're heavy at the top, and then they got some young guys that can do some stuff too. So I'm rooting for you guys. I hope we make it out of the group and just shut those fucking Canadians up.
I hope so too, man. I really do. I think we have a really good chance. I think Croatia's age is helping us. I think Canada's lack of depth. I think we have probably a wider range of player talent than Canada does, although Canada might have more top-end talent, if that makes sense, than we do. Because if you really look at it, it's really Hakimi, Ziyech, and then they kind of have 3 guys versus our 2 guys. But I think everybody else in Morocco is kind of more even as far as where they all play, because they all play in either Liga, Serie A. We have a couple guys that play in. We have Aguerd, who plays for Fulham. We have Saiz, who used to play for Wolves. So we have some talent there. But anyway,
I'm gonna let you cook on Brazil. I use the little boys' room.
Yeah. So Group G: Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. So you're looking at a Brazil team that is, man, it's just talented from top to bottom. This might be one of the best Brazil teams we have seen in quite some time. So if you guys get a chance, obviously, I know this goes without saying, when you think of soccer, you think of Brazil, you think of Jogo Bonito, you think of all that good stuff. But for a second, while you're watching Brazil, just take off the Neymar hate. Watch him cook. Watch him how he cooks with Lucas Paquetá. How Casemiro plays, defensive midfielder, holding midfielder. I mean, you got Marquinhos and Thiago Silva defending. You have Alisson, Ederson, and Weverton all in goalkeeper. Probably two of the top 5 goalkeepers in the entire world. Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle United has been playing tremendously. So glad he got the call. Gabriel Jesus obviously is in tremendous form for Arsenal. Antony has been awesome. Granted, United's been lackluster, but I mean, Antony's just been one of the most exciting players to watch. And then obviously,
100%.
As Vic mentioned, Vinicius Jr. is one of the top talents in all of the world right now. So,
I mean, this team is so freaking talented. It's not even funny. My favorites to win it all, in my opinion. Who do you like more, Richarlison or Antony?
Antony.
Yeah.
I hate Richarlison. I like him as a person. I don't like him as a player anymore. I've been the biggest, and I've only just come around on that because I've been the biggest Richarlison apologist since I've like watched soccer, since obviously I watch Premier League, so I've seen him at Everton. I'm now at Tottenham, but I've always been an apologist of him. But now I'm kind of just like, I'm over it. Like, I don't love him anymore.
Right.
I hope Jesus gets the start at striker. He deserves it. He's playing extremely well since leaving Manchester City. But yeah,
I don't know that I have anybody else in this group that I am excited about. Do you think it's Brazil and Cameroon, or who do you think? Brazil and Serbia?
I have Serbia as one of those sneaky ones that can ruin the party just because they're so strong. Like that's a strong and pacey team, right? They're sneaky pacey, but they're all like what, 6 foot or above. I think most of the team is over 6 feet tall.
Huge, yeah. I'll be honest. I haven't watched a lot of Serbia. I haven't watched a lot of Switzerland, and in my previews, I couldn't find anything about them really.
Switzerland's good. They don't have Xhaka is obviously their star power, right? That's their big name.
And they have Xhaka,
and Freuler
is Shaqiri's aged out, right?
Yeah, he's aged out. I think he's on the squad, but I don't think he's going to probably play. Okay. Yeah, he's on it. Oh no, he's a captain. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so he will play. All right, but yeah, I mean, what do you think? Brazil, Cameroon, Brazil? Who's your pick?
I wanted to do Brazil, Cameroon, but after looking at Switzerland and watching a few clips from Euro 2020, I think I got Brazil, Switzerland, man. They lack a scorer, but I think everybody else in the group does besides Brazil and Serbia. But I think overall, as just a team, I think Switzerland's really good as a team. And you can't knock what they did against France in 2020. That was pretty good. I mean, you knock out arguably the most talented team, in all of Europe. I mean, you're doing something. So I think they're so balanced from top to bottom. I got to go Brazil, Switzerland there. All right, and the final group of the World Cup, Group H, you got Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. I think this is another one of those groups that's tough to pick. What about you?
You really think it's hard to pick?
Who you got?
I got Portugal and South Korea.
What?
Yeah, I like South Korea.
What?
And I don't want Ghana. If Ghana makes it through, they're going to knock us out. I don't want Ghana in at all. Can't have Ghana in. You don't think Portugal's going to make it through?
I'm agreeing with Portugal, but you're sleeping on Uruguay. You're sleeping on Uruguay.
Yeah, I forgot Uruguay's in this group. I forgot Uruguay's in this group.
Uruguay's really good.
I still think South Korea's got it, though. I still think South Korea's got it. I just do, man. It's a feeling in my soul. I think they have the midfield and the forwards to get you there. I think Son is one of the best players in this group. So take what you will, but I think this is another team that just played together so long, and they finished second in qualifying, I think. So I like South Korea a lot this year. I bet they're actually, their odds. I'm looking at odds right now. Their odds to win the group are plus 1100, and their odds to make it to the knockout stage are plus 260. I like those odds. I would take South Korea and Portugal. I'm not a big fan of Uruguay.
So let me just cook a little bit on Uruguay. I mean, the only argument you can make against Uruguay is maybe their aging defense, right? You got Diego Godin, you have Martin Caceres. So those two guys are a little bit older, but you're still looking at two solid center backs, right? And then you look at Ronald Araujo, who's had a tremendous year at Barcelona. He's 23 years old. Matias Vecino, still a great midfielder starting for Lazio. Rodrigo Betancourt having a pretty decent year at Tottenham. I mean, Federico Valverde is arguably having one of the best seasons as a midfielder for Real Madrid. Insane how good Fede has been. And then you can't leave out Darwin Nunez. I mean, I know we talk about Suarez, Cavani, whatever. Who cares? I'm sure Suarez is still going to be good because he's another one of those ageless wonders. He's a good striker. But Darwin Nunez for Liverpool is nasty.
Yeah, he's done a lot of good for them this year.
So I like Portugal, Uruguay.
Okay, I mean, I just think in Uruguay is a team that does have a number of talented players. I just feel like as a team, I don't like them anymore. I used to like them back in the day. Not a fan. I don't think they're a cohesive unit. I think
they are now, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think like they aged out those other guys. Like this.
You watched more CONMEBOL than I did, so you would know, right? So I'm going to defer to you on that. But if I'm looking at rosters and I'm just looking at players that I watch, right? So there's not, other than Darwin Nunez, not a lot of players I've watched on this Uruguay squad. So I'm biased. I'm obviously biased.
Valverde just won a Champions League.
He's just in the Champions League, brother. I'm not watching Champions League. Not yet, at least. But although I did catch a couple of you.
JC's in the chat. JC, how good is Federico Valverde?
I mean, that's one player on the pitch, though, and a midfielder at that.
That's arguably one of the most important positions in the World Cup, you could say.
Yeah, but where's the goal scoring going to come from? Do you count on Nunez to do it?
Nunez and Suarez. I think Suarez can still score. Cavani's just there because he's Cavani. I don't think Cavani's getting much play.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see. I like it the other way. I'm gonna stick to my guns. Portugal, South Korea.
Yep. JC, he's probably the best young player entering his prime. He watches a lot of soccer as well, so we should have got him on. Cavani is a super sub.
We can always have you on next week after USA already beats Wales, and then we're leading up to the England game.
All right, thank you everybody in the chat. That concludes our World Cup preview. We got nice and in-depth for you. Gave you everything you need to watch out for. So real quick, we're gonna do a quick rundown. Vic, who is your favorite to win the entire World Cup?
Brazil.
So that's who you got. That's who you're putting your beans on to win the entire World Cup.
I like Brazil. Now, if are we talking odds here though?
I think we both talked about the Portugal odds look pretty good.
Yes, Portugal was.
If you're betting, not like we think Portugal's gonna win it, but like.
Yeah. So Portugal's odds were plus 1,600. I like those odds for a long shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also like Belgium too. I think Belgium has some good odds for a long shot. Let me see. Sorry, this is riveting podcast stuff.
No, you're good. We're towards the end anyway.
All right, last thing here then. Belgium was plus 1,600 as well. So Belgium and Portugal is, I think, where I put my beans. If you like Uruguay so much, they're plus 4,000, Sammy.
I know. That's what I said. That was another one. You didn't like it when I mentioned it. I was like, I actually don't mind a plus 4,000 for Uruguay to win it. But it all depends on South Korea because, I mean, we didn't get to talk a lot about South Korea, but you mentioned it perfectly. They are a powerhouse of Asia. And not only that, they dominate. Like, they destroy the entire groups in Asia. Unlike Iran, who kind of just wins consistently, South Korea destroys Asia. But yeah. But all right, Vic, anything you want to take away today? It's on you.
Is it to me today? I think we went a little bit long, but
closing. To give some closing thoughts on the U.S. men's national team, maybe a speech or something on the World Cup.
I'll talk a little bit. Let me just say, I did watch the FIFA documentary finally. And the way that Qatar stole this World Cup from the United States makes me sick. And I'm happy that the
and
United
from
States
Morocco,
is
by the way.
2026. What's that?
And from Morocco.
Fair enough.
It was all three of us in the final, I believe.
And I don't know if you've seen the videos of the hotel rooms for fans, and the fact that they're going to be putting drunk fans in jail pretty much. I mean, it's just not an environment that you want to host the World Cup, especially. And then also, you're so used to the World Cup being in the summer. I feel like we were deprived from that a lot. I do think it's kind of cool that it's in the winter. It's like great, but still, it's just such a weird time.
I mean, not to steal your thunder, but I think the winter is putting a huge damper on the World Cup. We might not be getting as good of a World Cup as maybe we want because it's in the winter because of all the injuries.
I agree, 100%. I agree, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, but that's just watch that documentary, people. That's what I want to tell you.
What's it called?
Please. It's called FIFA Uncovered, I think, or FIFA. What's it called? FIFA. Let me look it up. FIFA FIFA Uncovered.
Yeah. But with that being said, that concludes our World Cup preview. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Townie Sports for all of your knowledge on soccer. We got you. We got you next week as well. after the U.S. men's national team beats Wales, hopefully, and right before they play England. We will also have some more. We'll get right back to the NFL coverage as well as more NBA coverage. Obviously, there's a little lull there. But, we were really more excited to prep for this World Cup. So thank you, everybody, for your patience. Thank you for joining us. Remember, tell everybody to check out this episode if they want some knowledge for the water cooler. You want to look cool at work. You want to talk about the World Cup with all your work people because it's all going on. It's the biggest tournament in the world, probably the most extravagant sports event in all of sports. So be sure to tune in. Tell everybody about this podcast. Get up to date on everything that's going on in the World Cup. Tune in to us. We love you. Thank you for choosing us for your listening pleasures. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Don't forget to check out our Instagram page at Townie_sports. And, of course, our TikTok page at Townie Sports Pod for all the mini clips and highlights of the show as they are dropped. And, obviously, go USA, go Morocco. This is going to be a tremendous World Cup. I am your host, Sammy, alongside the great Vic, and we are Townie Sports. We'll see you guys next week.
Swag so mean, swag on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G-Clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised, cause I'm running to the money. Swag so mean, swag on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G-Clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised.